Good morning. We have one of these sort of wet days where it's just a fine mist of rain. Probably should have put my waterproofs on. Probably. But I didn't. So, yeah, I'm gonna have a wet crotch. Ugh. Yeah, I have to do a little bit of a thanks and a shout out to the Yamaha Owners Club. A couple of the guys there, Droopy, who helped me get the battery charged on this, Old Timer, who generously donated an actual battery charger for me, and to Bippo, who also offered the assistance of the battery charging, which fortunately wasn't needed since Droopy actually lives quite near me. Well, I had a little bit of a derpy moment there. Came back to the bike, key in the ignition, yay, showing all power, hit the starter motor, nothing. Not even, it wasn't even trying to fire up. I'm like looking at the bike going, what the hell is going on here? Checking the cut-off switch, that was fine. Getting up, sitting on the bike, holding the clutch in. It's just nothing was happening. Seems this bike has a nice little safety feature. If it's in gear, it will not start, which is good to know. I mean, it wasn't the side stand being down because I flipped that up just to make sure. One of the usual safety features you get in other bikes. Pretty much, if it's in gear, that button there does nothing. One thing I think I'm finding with earplugs as well is that it seems to screw up my sense of equilibrium. Not balance, but I feel wider. So I'm uncertain of how much room I have. It's definitely a psychological thing. Because obviously I'm no wider, but it's just very bizarre. I get worried that on the motorway that the wind resistance will be enough to rip this little thing off. And I do wonder how I could create a tether for it, just in case that does happen, so I don't lose £300 worth of equipment. So this morning I have decided that instead of going the motorway, I'm going to go my old route, because the motorway seems to be taking longer, even though it's once you're going it's just straight and on. It's just curiosity, pretty much. I mean, this route has a lot more stop and starts, but I really seem to have been arriving earlier, and to the best of my knowledge I've not been leaving later. So after yesterday morning's experiment, I think for now I'm actually going to just continue to take my old route to work. The difference was about a minute, and I was, if I remember right, I was stuck by a couple of lights here and there. Doesn't seem worth going the motorway, where there's more chance of people cutting me off, just changing lane without indicating. I just go the route that I know is, I know how to handle a lot easier. Today on Reddit has been spent unexpectedly sort of dragging up the lies that another biker has been talking on the Moto UK subreddit. And it all started because of me. He posted up about he'd just been hit with a £100 fine for parking in a private car park. Was there anything he could do to not pay this? I basically pointed out that he was told to check first of all before he parked anywhere that he could park there in a previous thread, and that numerous other threads that he has started, people have offered him advice, and one of his next posts will generally be where he has not followed that advice. I basically came out going, why should we offer you any advice at all? And before I knew it, I was actually getting messages going, thank you, somebody else has actually finally said something about this guy. And then everybody started posting links to the absolute nonsense this guy had been saying in other places, which highlighted how much he lied about various things and the very high likelihood that he's actually riding around on a Kawasaki ER6 unlicensed, effectively uninsured, and given his age based on other posts, unrestricted as well. And the question came up, was like, should we report him to his local constabulary or advise them that there is a rider on one of these bikes? I am actually tempted, because I would rather him off the road than cause a problem with some innocent person, but I'm going to leave it for now. I want to see what his response to this thread is, if any at all. We hope he actually does post another thread where he says something, or asks something equally inane, showing that he's not even actually reading what people are saying. Then hopefully we'll start it all again. Or he'll bitch about us, the fact that we're useless and fuddy-duddies and etc. But we've tried to help him for the past couple of months with inane questions, or some inane questions, some sensible questions. What rights away, where should he park, how do I know when my bike needs fuel, what kind of fuel does my bike take? That was an interesting one. How do I prevent helmet hair? You don't. And the biker just ahead of me there is a Hell's Angel. Turns out he's got his lock-up in the set of garages behind me. I was quite shocked though. Hell's Angel on a sports bike. For some reason I thought it was just a culture of choppers. Choppers, cruisers and bobbers. He was telling me that arseholes were trying to steal his bike from outside his house the other day, last week. Damaged the fairings, scratched the tank. Dickheads. People that steal bikes and cars, just, I don't know, deserve to be ridden behind them, on foot. Keep up with what you try and steal. And away that cyclist went on a red light. I swear I'm going to do a compilation one day of cyclists jumping red lights and drivers doing the same. I'll leave the drivers off that do the sort of just a red light, you know, I think they've tried to chase the amber and failed. But the ones that is blatantly a red light, and that comes from ones that you can safely assume are jumping the red light as well. Like when I'm at a crossroad. That was a red light. The guy was going slow enough that he could easily stop. What the hell is with Sonic on the back of that car? Poor Sonic. A small conversation that's occurred on Reddit today, on the motorcycle subreddit, was someone stating that they think waving thanks to drivers that sort of widen the gap so you can get through while you're filtering is dangerous. Because you're putting yourself at risk by not being in full control of the bike. Yeah, you not got full control of the bike at the time. Is it dangerous? Hard to say. Well, is it hard to say? You're obviously not going to have access to the clutch, but it's not as if it's not often that you need to make sudden manoeuvres while filtering. And if you're in a situation where it's looking like you may need to, you shouldn't wave it anyway. He tried to give the example of the car on your right suddenly decides to change lanes beside you, so you've got no ability to do a proper counter steer to the left. One, you could still move. Two, you should have filled up if there was that big enough gap on your left to begin with. You should have been paying attention and possibly actually filled yourself into that gap. And granted, I will try and thank where possible. You may see it in some of my videos. But if I don't feel it's safe, like I'm really weaving through traffic, I'm not going to waste my hands. But it's a good idea to let the drivers know that you at least appreciate their effort. That you're not just some asshole that's making use of your smaller space to get faster than them. Even if you are, but you know what I mean. So yeah, leave a comment below on your opinions on whether or not you should wave or not when filtering to give thanks to drivers that get out your way.